Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I'm your host, Stan Rattan, and this is a blue collar wine program where my goal is to help you feel comfortable about your palate, find you really good deals, and help you avoid a bad purchase. We all hate to blow our money on something that isn't worth it. Before I begin today, I want to make a correction. This is episode 52. In episode 50, I interviewed Kurt Johnson, who is the marketing and sales guy for Beaufrere's out of Oregon, and we were talking about hectares versus acres, and I confused the whole issue. I went the other way. I was kind of making fun of the whole hectare. You want to use hectares because they're more than acres. It's actually the opposite of that. So 10 hectares is actually about 24 acres. So 24 hectares would be 48 acres. So really, it's us here in the U.S. and other places that use acres just trying to get the bragging rights. I have more. Whereas in Europe, they use hectares, which is less. So I apologize for that. Kurt, I confused him just a little bit on that issue. And so if you watched episode 50, which is a great interview, just disregard that whole hectare versus acres thing, because 1 hectare is 2.4 acres, or basically 2.5 acres. You could go with that. So just, I don't know what was going through my brain. I was thinking backwards. Sometimes you have to be careful not to get in your own way, which unfortunately I do a lot. So today I'm going to look at the winery just 2.5 miles from my house, San Juan Vineyards. I live in the San Juan Islands, beautiful tourist destination spot in Washington State. I mean, you can almost throw a rock to Canada from the west side. Sometimes the lights of Victoria light up the sky at night here. Beautiful spot, bald eagles all over the place. Tons of cyclists come here in the summer. Today, it's a beautiful day outside. Spring has finally sprung, which is really cool. But just 2.5 miles down the road, I run there a lot and run back, so it's a total of 6 miles, roughly. I have to run a little past the winery. Is San Juan Vineyards. Good friend of mine, owner Yvonne Swanberg, has really worked hard to get this winery where it is today. But one of the key things to success for this winery is the winemaker that she hired in 2006, Chris Premis, who spent some time in Oregon. He worked for J. Christopher down there, which is an iconic Pinot Noir producer down in Oregon. Anybody who spends time with Pinot Noir is going to come away a stronger winemaker, because Pinot Noir is so, hard to deal with. It's thin-skinned, it's very fussy. So, we understand why winemakers want to make Pinot Noir, just because it's a difficult task. So when they produce a really good one, it brings them a lot of satisfaction. Well, Chris, this was his first gig in 2006 as head winemaker. And I've watched Chris develop over the last 8 years to become an incredible winemaker. He is a good friend of mine, but he'll be the first to tell you that I will not in any way promote his wines if I don't like them. Classic like the wines. Classic example is their red blend. Not a huge fan of it. It's a great price, $14. I do not hand sell it to people. In fact, I try to steer them away. It's gotten better, but it's still not one that I would say, okay, blow $14 on this. Sorry, Vaughn, just telling it like it is. She kind of gets mad at me when I do that, but I'm honest about it. I mean, I'm not going to promote his wines or their wines if they do not deliver for the price, just like I would with anything. So Yvonne doesn't have me in her back pocket. Chris doesn't have me in his back pocket. I just think he's a great winemaker. He has come a long way. And so today I've got the new releases of their Chardonnay, their Rosé, and their Riesling. I reviewed their Pinot Gris and Zigareba, which Zigareba is a varietal that you'll see a lot in the Pacific Northwest, because it is actually a grape that will grow and ripen. It's a beautiful wine. If you haven't tried a Zig yet, that's our short term for it, you need to try one. In particular, San Juan Vineyards, he did an awesome job. I think this might be, the 2013 might be his best Zig to date, although about 4 years ago, I think he had a really nice white floral flower one that was really good. Check it out on my wine blog, stanthewineman.com. I do the whites of Washington. I do a little article on that, and the Pinot Gris, which actually impressed me, and I'm not a big Pinot Gris guy, but I thought his Pinot Gris really delivered. So check it out, stanthewineman.com, the whites of Washington. I did it just last month when I was reviewing Washington wines for Washington Wine Month. So, let's get started with his 2013 Chardonnay. Now, Chris is a firm believer in, let's do a little rinse, in not using oak. He does not like new oak. He will use it from time to time, but he's gotten in a program of buying used barrels from a very dependable winery that he trusts a lot, that keeps, really takes care of their barrels. So he's gotten into that program, and it's really worked for him. Last vintage, the 2012, I really liked, and rumor has it that Chris is really happy about this 2013. So this is my first shot at the 2013. So here we get a little, a little golden to clear. Nice color on the Chardonnay, which tells me that it does not have a lot of, if any, new oak on it at all. So let's see what we get on the nose. This has almost like a medicinal nose, almost like a multivitamin, which is interesting. It's a little challenged. I'm actually surprised. Chris's Chardonnay usually get a huge amount of, interestingly, coconut and pear. I'm not getting any of that on this wine. It's not too cold at all. A little hint of pear, a little dustiness, but it really is not very aromatic, which is kind of disappointing to me. Just a hint of maybe a little bit of apple, maybe an Asian apple, Asian pear, Asian apple. That, just maybe a Fuji apple is what I'm trying to say. A little bit of white flowers, but not much. Let's see what we get on the palate. There's good acid to this wine. That's the first thing that jumps out to you, is this has got a lot of good acidity to it. Definitely a little bit of pear, white flower. There's some minerality on the backside, which is interesting. A little bit of apple skin. Lemon. There's definitely a lemon component there. It's not strong, but it's there. There's, like I said, there's good acid. This is not my favorite Chardonnay of San Juan Vineyards. I have to say, last vintage I liked a lot better than this one. This kind of runs between, I would say, Burgundy, except it's not Burgundian. It's got good acid, which would make it really nice. This would go well with shellfish. I would not shy away from using this with oysters, mussels, anything like that. Probably poultry, but it doesn't have be a good cheese wine. Maybe some goat cheese would go good with this. But for those of you who are looking for a little bit of a Chardonnay aspect, does not go there. It's not terrible. It's got good balance. It's not funky in any way. It's just not what I believe a lot of people would expect from a Chardonnay. But that being said, I need to review this wine again in about 4 to 5 months, because a lot of Chris's wines take a little time to settle down. This was just bottled last month, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt there. I'm going to go C+ on this wine right now. I think it's got a lot of good elements to it. They may flesh out in about 4 to 6 months. We will see when I repeat this review from then, but for now, I'm going to go C+ on this one. Let's move on. Now we're going to go to their rosé. I've always given Yvonne a hard time about this. Just call it rosé. They call it Afterglow Pink Wine. Now this is a combination of several different wines to create this, and that could be, sorry for my lack of research on this, could be why she doesn't call it a rosé. She said something to me a while ago about why she doesn't call it a rosé. Have to bone up on my research on that one. The Alcohol, Tobacco and Trade Bureau, ATT. What are their rules on that? I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but as far as I'm concerned, it is a rosé. Rosé by any other name, it's still a rosé. So this has that perfect kind of salmon, light pinkish color, which is what people are looking for in rosé. I do, although I'm all over the place. I mean, I like a dark pink. I like Tavel, which is primarily a really, really dark, meaty rosé. I love those. That's all they make in Tavel in the Rhone Valley. And I believe, no, not going to go there. I didn't look it up. It's off the cuff. I don't want to be wrong. But it's very dark, very meaty, very different type of rosé. I like those also. Let's see what we get on the nose. This is really aromatic, really perfumey. Cherries, watermelon, strawberries. Love the nose on this. When it comes to rosé, and hopefully it's on your docket to enjoy a few rosés this summer. I know, there's still people out there. It's hard to believe. I guess there's still people that don't believe man landed on the moon. There's people that still associate rosé with white Zinfandel. Now it's okay. I have no beef against white Zin. It saved the wine world in the 70s. But guess what? It is nothing like a true rosé. Rosés are not sweet, although there are some rosés that lean on that side. And I think white Zin is a great way to break into the wine world as long as you don't stay with white Zin. Always experiment. Let's see what we get on the palate. Chris hit a home run here. This is a really nice rosé. Oh, did I say the vintage? They're all 2013. Yes, these are all 2013. Didn't want to get lost on that one. Very bone dry, which a lot of you rosé lovers out there, we like bone dry rosé, but it still has those flavors of, cherry pit, cherry skin, strawberry, watermelon rind. It's all in there. A little bit of red flower component coming through. Yeah, it's a delicious rosé. Finishes bone dry, which is, like I said, what you're looking for. And very versatile. This would go with shellfish perfectly. We got Easter coming up. A lot of you will have an Easter ham. This would be beautiful with ham. You get great with salads. If you're having a salad, you're watching your weight. You wouldn't be drinking wine maybe. But anyway, if you're having a salad, maybe a Cobb salad or something, this would be a beauty with that. Rosé is just such a perfect wine. I've had some episodes on rosé. I love rosé. I drink it a lot in the summertime. I drink it throughout the winter. I like it because it's usually lower in alcohol, but it's really refreshing, really nice, and it has a little bit of weight from the red skins that just gives it a little bit of an edge over just a white wine. So a beautiful wine. Nice job, Chris. I'm going to have to give that rosé an A-. I think it is a really good effort. It's what you're looking for in a rosé. We'll move on from there. By the way, Chris has an interesting little profile to his winemaking skills. This is a 2013 San Juan Vineyards Riesling, and I'm going to give you a picture, a look at the label on just this one. That's San Juan Vineyards label. Now they do distribution throughout the state of Washington, and I believe they go down into Oregon. So if you live in the state of Washington, find somebody that carries these wines. It's worth your effort. But what I was going to say about Chris's winemaking skills is that his reds sometimes need up to a year to 2 years in bottle after they're released to really start showing their true colors. And it's just his winemaking style. Whatever is in his mind when he's blending, when he's putting things together, he's really one of those kind of winemakers that really, I don't know if he does it on purpose. I've talked to him about it. He really hasn't been able to put a finger on it, but he does acknowledge that a lot of his wines really flesh out after a couple of years. And not so true with his whites. They usually take a little less time than that. But it's just his winemaking style, and it's something you have to recognize. Sometimes that's one of those things you have to really look at when you're dealing with a particular vineyard. So this is his Riesling, 2012, Yakima Valley, and Les Vignes de Marcoux must be the vineyard. I'm really losing it here. This is the Rosé is Washington State. I believe the Chardonnay is also Yakima Valley, which is a pretty big appellation with a lot of sub-appellations inside of it. So this is a vineyard designate Riesling from Yakima Valley. This, wow, a lot of orange peel on the nose, right? It just jumps out at me right away. Orange peel, lemon, I get a little bit of honeysuckle. Very tropical on the nose. Little hints of apple, lemon peel, tangerine. Some white flowers. Very interesting, very one of those type of aromatic wines that you just love to smell because there's so many different things in it. Let's see what we get on the palate. This is a really beautiful Riesling. This Riesling rolls in at $14. The Rosé rolls in at $16. And the Chardonnay rolls in at $14. Sorry about that. Forgot to mention the prices. 13, 16, 14. Good prices. Very reasonable. This Riesling is beautiful. It's got good sweetness. Nice mango, peach, apple, good acidity, but it's not razor sharp acidity, which of course that's where I go with Riesling. I love that, where it cuts your tongue. But there's good acid. It finishes dry, which is beautiful for a Riesling. Has a nice sweetness up front for those of you who like a little sweetness on your Riesling and you're not into that razor sharp cutting edge. This is a beauty. Good job. A lot of tropical fruits on this one. The sweetness kind of lingers on the backside, but yet it finishes dry, which I really like. So it goes from tropical mango, papaya, lemon peel, little tangerine in there. Then it gets a little sugar cane element on the mid palate, but not like grainy. Just, you get that little sweet hit on the mid palate, but then it just kind of blends into a nice dry finish with that sweetness and tropical fruit lingering. Nice job. A lot of you guys are going to like this wine. $13, great price for a great Riesling. Good job, Chris. I'm going to go B+, A- on that one. Probably more B+. But you know, I'm sorry I didn't give you the prices right off the bat. You know, I don't know. Sometimes I can do this over and over again. Here's a picture of the rosé, Afterglow, as she calls it, pink wine. It's really a rosé, Yvonne. And here's a picture of their Chardonnay, right there. Okay. So overall, pretty good job on the whites. Like I said, I'm going to put it on my docket to revisit the Chardonnay in about 4 to 6 months, just to see where it goes. But overall, good effort. Thanks for watching. And here's to keeping the snob out of wine.